Warning. This video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel and I just spent like 40 minutes going in and I didn't hit record. So I am exhausted, but I'm gonna try to do this again. It's probably gonna end up being uploaded late. Anyway, what I was saying is risk happens fast, things can change, they can change quickly, and for the first time, Bitcoin has experienced a true warning sign. Today is largely going to be focused on a little bit of tough love, risk management, and there's opportunity for everyone here, but most people are going to fit into one of two groups, okay? And depending on which one of these two groups you fit into depends on the opportunity that is available to you. So I'm going to talk about that. Then, of course, I'm going to talk about when bottom, what is next, and show you all of that stuff. First of all, tough love. Yesterday was a very, very strange experience, right? I had the most toxicity I've ever seen in a comment section ever. I had people making all types of strange accusations. I had people trolling each other, infighting in the comment section. I ended up blocking quite a lot of people because this is a community for people that want to do well and want to succeed. It's not a community for trolls and stuff. So if you want to disagree with something respectfully, that's absolutely fine. But if you're just going to name call and paraphrase and all of that, then just don't waste your time. You're just going to get blocked. I also had all types of DMs on Twitter yesterday. I had people going through all 4 stages of grief in about 8 or 12 hour period. I had people tell me that their wives are upset with them. People tell me their girlfriend's going to leave them because they've wasted and blown their whole life savings and all of this kind of stuff. And, you know, this is degenerate gambling. This is not what trading is supposed to look like in the real world. A lot of people have to make their own decision from here. And what I mean by that is a lot of people have to truly do some introspective work and understand that this game is not for everyone, okay? 90% of traders fail. 90% of traders have a career of 3 years or less, meaning as well for a lot of people that have been here 2.5 years, okay, maybe you started buying in the bear market and DCA'd your way in and sat in profit. Well, if you were one of those people, statistically speaking, there's a 90% probability your career is over in the next 6 months. And particularly if you're one of those people that was doing well and has now just blown up their account and lost all their money on altcoins or leverage positions, right, then you really have to ask yourself a question. It's like, are you part of the 90%? And are you really cut out to achieve this eliteness, this elite status that is being a funded trader? And the harsh reality is if you're in the comments trolling and being aggressive to other people and all of this kind of thing, right, blaming others for your mistakes, unfortunately, you're in the 90% of traders that is not going to make it. It is statistically easier to get into the Olympics than it is to be a funded trader. It's also much, much, much easier to make a couple $1 million by scaling a business over 2 or 3 years than it is to make a couple $1 million from being a trader, right? Most people are just not cut out for that. So a lot of you probably have to ask yourself the question, is it time to quit, right? Is it time to quit and move away? Is it time to go on a different venture? And if you're sat there going, no way, I have to do this. I love this. I want to do this. Okay. Well, then the opportunity for you is to learn about risk management. Okay. There's a tutorial in the playlist that explains risk management. There's another one that explains how to correctly apply leverage. But until you decide to make yourself a promise that you are going to manage risk, okay, then you're just simply not going to make it. As I was saying earlier, there's an opportunity for everyone depending on which one of these two groups you fall into. So if you're in the group of people that has just taken significant losses, have not understood how to manage risk, okay, you've just blown up your account or taken half of it out or even 10, 15, 20% of it out, there's an opportunity here for you to draw a line in the sand and say, from this day forward, I will never, ever, ever take a loss that is more than 2% of my total account on a single trade, okay? You're going to go and watch the risk management tutorial. You're going to apply that to your trading. And herein marks the end of you ever taking chunks out of your account. There's an opportunity, if you're one of those people that was going through the 4 stages of grief yesterday, for you to create a journal, for you to write down everything and anything you can remember, okay? How you were feeling in the moment you pulled the trigger, why you decided to over leverage or oversize, were you aware of the risks, were you aware of X, Y, and Z, how were you feeling in that moment? Was there a moment you should have sold and you decided to just hold? Did you not use a stop loss? Okay, there's an opportunity here to write all this stuff down and make sure it never happens again. Make sure that you fall into that group of 10% of people that can actually manage risk, can actually have discipline to stick to a system, and thus can ultimately become the trader that you want to be. So if you fall into that first group, okay, and you can't manage risk, then the opportunity here is for, like I said, this to be the first day of a truly successful career for you to learn how to actually manage the risk. And if you can do that, okay, then again, maybe you have a shot at making it into the top 10%. If, however, you've already got this risk management thing dialed, I know a bunch of the members do. I've seen a whole heap of comments from members saying that, you know, their performance has been better than ever since joining the members section. If you already are in this group of people that never, ever, ever takes unnecessary risk, that always manages the risk in accordance with those tutorial videos, then I think what we've got is the best buying opportunity about to show up that we've had since the bear market lows. So I'm going to show you the charts and all of that stuff. We're going to attempt to answer this question, when bottom and what happens next. In the last video that, like I said, I didn't hit record on, we had a position something like this and another position, I forget where it was, something in here with a stop down here, which has been stopped out. And so in the last video, I said, look, we had to pay a stop here. We no longer need this position. And I dragged this one across. But I was saying that for the first time, this second angle trend line has broken down, okay? So for the first time this entire cycle, we've now got a warning sign, okay? We've been stopped out of that position. As always, I'll keep it transparent. I'll show you my winning trades. I'll show you the losing trades, right? The public invalidations are always made known. All trades called out ahead of time, as always. And for now, we're just rocking with these two positions, plus the core allocation that was acquired at the lows. I was also saying that, you know, this is a warning sign. This is potentially the start of something very, very bad. But it's also entirely possible we're about to force a weekly cycle low in here. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. I also showed, keeping in with this theme of risk management, that I got long in the members section here on what I was expecting to see a move into price discovery for Casper, and this has been stopped out. And I made the point in here that, again, this is how you do it, right? This risk, as I said in the community tab for the members, was a very, very, very small position because it was an altcoin, and I think altcoins are highly risky. So whilst I had to pay a stop here as well, okay, this is not taken anything significant out of my account. I barely noticed this. I can afford to take this money down the end of the garden and set it on fire. I made that abundantly clear in the members section. And this is the importance of managing risk, right? My mental health is not in a bad state because I've taken a huge chunk out of my account. My wife's not about to leave me because I've blown up all her money or anything like that. Instead, okay, it's just another trade. It doesn't matter. And I've now got almost all of my cash ready to deploy again once we get in here, okay? As always, I'll be looking to find a quality setup. I'll be looking to manage the risk as always and let the members know the exact levels. But full transparency, I had to get stopped out on this Casper position. I also had to get stopped out on the third Bitcoin position. And we've got a warning sign from a second angle violation. We also have had to pay a stop on XRP, so that's fine. Again, though, it hasn't cost me my account, right? It hasn't cost me anything that I even noticed because the risk is always managed. So it goes back to this, right? If you're in this first group of people that hasn't yet to learn how to manage risk, you must learn to manage risk. There's no way you can stay calm. There's no way you can make it. And imagine if I'd bet a third of my account on each of those positions, right? Well, right now, I would be out of the game. I would have no money left, fully liquidated, would never be able to trade again, right? So it's super important to learn how to manage risk. And if you're in the comment section blaming other people and not taking accountability because you bet the farm and now you're liquidated, well, congratulations. You're just in that 90% of traders that is never going to make it. So you get to make the decision, right? Are you going to learn from your mistakes or not? Moving on to what happens next, right? Is it reasonable to start calling bear markets? Is it reasonable to start calling for retests of the lows and everything else? Well, for me, Naber has been the king of this cycle, okay? Naber has called this cycle better than anyone I've seen. You can see all the way back here, he called this move 3 into an ABC into the 4 before the 5th of the 5th of the 5th. Naber continued wizardry here. As you can see, updating, okay, ready to see some kind of 4th before the 5th of the 5th of the 5th. And when we zoom in, it seems like a while ago Naber was calling for this to be a 5-wave move into that C. Before then, again, we can look for that 5th of the 5th of the 5th. As it stands, we are currently putting in the 5th of the C wave, okay? We are currently in this final leg down into the C. Before then, we can look to impulse in that 5th of the 5th of the 5th. And whilst there's a whole heap of people out here saying things like left translated cycles invalidated, no way we can do this. And whilst, yes, we've got a technical breakdown at the moment, whilst we've got warning signs, whilst we have potentially even got significantly less probability of seeing a left translated cycle occur, if we are indeed about to come out here in the 5th wave, which is the most violent, most aggressive, and takes the least amount of time, then we could still see a top before November qualifying it as left translated. Is that likely? I don't know, okay? I don't know at the moment. There's a lot of uncertainty, but it's certainly not impossible. Also, if it was to happen December, January, February, does it really matter? No. I think what matters is getting in somewhere in this neighborhood and capturing that final 5th wave to the upside. Similarly, as Kemazabi's showing here, okay, keep your emotions in check and know your invalidation levels. As always, manage the risk, right? It's got a very similar vibe in here. Everyone thought it was the end of the world. That's kind of where we are now. But as I just showed you with this whole correction, okay, we're probably closer to the end of this correction and the start of a new impulse than most people are willing to entertain. We also have completely wrecked and flushed sentiment. I wanted to also give props to Tony the Bull. Tony the Bull was very early to call the all-time high before the halving as well. Okay, you can see that here. And with this updated count from Tony, okay, you can see that this is probably what's ahead now, the 5th of the 5th of the 5th. So whilst everyone is getting bearish, calling tops, calling for bear markets, okay, calling for a retest of the low, I think we've not only got a good buying opportunity here, but also the first time you're going to see me add spot Bitcoin to the holding since the bear market lows. Credible Crypto also has been very, very good at calling this market. He was calling, I think, for this to be 3 and the 4 of the 3 before the 4 and then the 5. Since that has been invalidated, I think we're now working with the same process as Naber, looking for 3 and 4 before the 5. But you'll notice that all of these things point to the next leg coming rather soon. So right when everyone is getting incredibly disappointed, right when everyone is getting completely shaken out, super bearish, super toxic, going through the 4 stages of grief in the Twitter DMs, okay, this just so happens to be where we are, right here, ready potentially to see that final leg higher. And I know a whole heap of people aren't going to be able to internalize it, aren't going to be able to deal with it, or worse still, have blown up their account and don't have any money to capitalize on it. But like I said, for those of us that know how to manage risk, I think this is the best opportunity that we've had in a very, very, very long time. You can also see here what I was saying about Bob Lucas. Going back all the way to a few weeks ago, you could see that me and Bob were slightly divided, okay? I thought the blue was possibly the most likely to play. Bob, however, was saying he thinks the red path was the most likely to play, okay? And did you notice, those of you that tune in every day, we both agreed there was a third scenario, which was a big, deep V plunge, followed by this, okay? And both of us said that whilst that's possible, neither one of us thought that was very likely. But when we look at the chart for Bitcoin at the moment, it looks an awful lot like we are indeed putting in this big V plunge, okay? What we should almost be hoping for here is for this thing to keep going a bit deeper, nice and quick, because then that actually sets us up for that 5th of the 5th of the 5th. It would be absolutely wild because most people, keep in mind, have gotten this entire move wrong the entire way up, right? All in here, it was 10, 12, 14K comes next. Then it was bull trap, retest of the lows, right? Then it was biggest bull trap of all time, Kappa was right. Then in here, it was biggest bull trap ever, 702 retracement, dump the whole lot. And then only when we get here, all-time high before the halving, where a handful of people, Tony, Cred, Naber, me, had called this all-time high before the halving. Only in here did people suddenly start to go, oh, wow, maybe, just maybe there's a chance. Maybe I need to go all in on full leverage here, okay? Now they've had that disappointing wave 4, okay? Now they're wrecked. Now they're flushed out. How do you think we harm the most amount of participants? I think we mooned this thing. Nobody is ready for that. And whilst a whole heap of people are not going to be able to internalize or process this, whilst a whole heap of people are not going to be able to capture this move because their mental health has been wrecked from blowing up their accounts and having their wife leave them, the reality is we are probably in the process of forcing a slightly early but legal and qualifying weekly cycle low. The only real difference here is I thought we would probably hold above this low. I thought what we would get is something like this and then go. If it just so happens to be much lower down and then go, I'll take it. That's absolutely fine with me. As I said, Naber called this move all the way back here, okay? To almost to the tick, might I add. And right now, we seem to be in that 5th of the C. What does that mean? It means we're in that 5th of the C wave, okay? Here's the C, B to C. And we've seen 5 ways down now. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready for that 5th to come in. We should be looking for reversals any minute now before ultimately we go into that 5th of the 5th of the 5th. It's a wild time to be alive. Like I said, I think this is the first time you're going to see me add spot since the bear market lows. So I'm looking to force some kind of daily and weekly cycle any day now. This is only day 65 as well, so we could easily overshoot by a couple of days. This low back here was a day 70 low. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe run to day 70 here. If we do get a swing, confirm it with a trendline break, then you will see me add another long here, okay? You'll see me add a long somewhere in here and a spot long with a stop below wherever the cycle low forms. And then right when everyone thinks that this is absolutely crazy, I think we're going to see a monstrous 5th wave. Monstrous come swinging out of this cycle low. I still think this is on the table. If it happens before November, it will still qualify as left translated. Now, it would be, objectively speaking, beyond my expectation for a July and August top. But as ever, it's not for me about calling the exact month or the exact price. It's about catching this final leg higher and dumping the whole lot as close to the top as physically possible. There's a whole heap of people in the comment section saying that the whole hypothesis is invalidated, and that's just so disingenuous and completely wrong. Okay, keep in mind, not many people did this in real time, called out ahead of time like I did, okay? Long here, ducked out for risk management, long again, okay, caught this entire move, ducked out, stayed on the sides, okay, got back in, caught all of this, okay, ducked out, got back in at the weekly cycle low, so far catching this. Not many people did that. So to sit here and say the hypothesis is invalidated or has failed, okay, is to be disingenuous. Same for the NASDAQ. I did not quite as good on the NASDAQ, but got in here, okay, out for risk management, back in here, caught this, out of the way, caught this, got out slightly early, okay, then didn't want to get back to full exposure here. Instead of playing the NASDAQ and catching this final leg on the NASDAQ, I decided to sit on the sides, play a little bit more conservative and only use the S&P and the Dow to catch that final leg. And the same for the Dow, right? In here on the channel, you know, we caught this, which was monstrous, okay? Then we got out of the way of it for a while. I think we had to pay a stop somewhere in here. Then we caught this, okay? Then we got out of the way of it. And then just recently we've gotten back in and caught this. So to say the hypothesis has failed is completely wrong. For the Russell 2K, again, you know, so far we practically bought the lows. If it expands and hits that 3K target of mine, then we will have caught the entire thing in a single trade. Part of the hypothesis, of course, in here, we were looking for a short into a weekly cycle low before we went. We didn't get that big decline, and instead we broke out of the all-time high. And for gold, you know, the hypothesis is still 3K gold. We, keep in mind, bought a long here, okay, got long here, caught this move, got out somewhere in this neighborhood, and at the same time as that, in the members section, we got long here and here for SilJ. So we caught all of this, hopped out on a trendline breakdown. And at the same time for Newmont mining, we got long here and caught all of this. Okay, again, hopped out on a trendline breakdown. We are expecting this thing to roll over any day now into a weekly cycle low. And then we're going to be looking to go again. And whilst, as I was saying earlier, I did not expect this low to be violated. Okay, that's why the stop loss was below that low. Whilst I expected something akin to this to play out. Okay, so far, it's not too far from reality. Agreed that this is a missing component. I didn't really expect to see this. As I showed you with Bob Lucas, okay, I kind of expected to see this blue one play out. Bob thought this red one would play out. And as I said earlier, I think that one that neither one of us thought was probable was this. And so far, that seems to be the one that is about to play. So pretty interesting time to be alive. I know most people are not going to be able to process this because they're not in the mental state because they've blown their accounts up. But I do think this is about to be the time where you see me not only add a third and final position here, but also, like I said, add some spot once we can confirm a weekly cycle low swing out of this. So to say the hypothesis is wrong is completely not true. And if Naber continues to be right here, which I see no reason for him not to be, then we are in the process of completing that fifth of the C before that final 5 up. And again, if this can occur before November, then it will qualify as left translated. If it takes slightly longer, then I'm okay with that too. Okay, all I really care about is selling the top. And again, if you remember, I think there's massive opportunity coming here because we took half the position off. Remember, core allocation at the lows, couple of supplemental trades on the way up for Coinbase, took half of it off. Okay, now we're ready to buy this weekly cycle low. And the same is true of MicroStrategy, right? Core allocation at the lows, couple of supplemental trades, took half off up here somewhere. And now we're sitting pretty with a massive cash pile, ready to get a third and final position on into that fifth of the fifth of the fifth for Bitcoin. Meanwhile, whilst everyone's altcoins are bleeding and dying to death, again, in the member section, right, Wolf currently seen something like 140% gain. As of today's open, it's going to be around 112% gain. Okay, so we're still hitting hundreds of percents in the members section, whilst everyone's altcoins are going down 90%. All this cycle, I've had people telling me, Camel, like you're wrong about altcoins, and my altcoins are massively outperforming your boomer Bitcoin. Well, the reality is, no, they're not. Okay, like these minor positions are smoking everyone. It's the same deal for Heart. Okay, whilst everyone's altcoins been bleeding 90%, Heart again is up 100%. Okay. And we're probably going to be looking to book some of this profit in the not too distant future. If you're a level 3 member, look out for that. You know, we've done the right thing. We've got a bunch of cash from these other crypto related equities ready to redeploy. We've also managed the risk so that this stop loss, you know, is not going to be noticed. And again, we're sitting pretty, getting ready to capture what I believe will be this final leg to the upside. I think this will end up being set as either the second angle, or perhaps if we do see something like this, weekly cycle low, recover that second angle and then set a third, then this will just be a quick bear trap to the downside. But overall, whilst there's a whole heap of people out there that want to say this whole thing is invalidated, right? This is still remains the only missing component. And the only real difference is I thought this thing would stop here, and instead it's probably going to stop slightly lower down. But until the market proves me otherwise, right? If we get a rejection and resumption off of this second angle, then we've got a problem, right? Because that would also be the failed cycle. But for now, I think it's too early to draw any conclusions. Like I said, Naber has called this thing to the tick the entire time. He's the only one, I think, that has not had to make any adjustments on the way up. Tony had to adjust his count slightly, I believe. Cred also had to adjust his count slightly. Me and Bob have both had to adjust our expectations, right? But Naber called the entire thing to the tick, and as long as that fifth of the fifth of the fifth comes in, then I think he is the undisputed king of this entire cycle. And one more time, it speaks to this is where we are, okay? We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are now in that fifth of the C. So what comes next is that macro fifth of the fifth of the fifth, just like this portion right here. Okay, so whilst everyone is bearish, whilst everyone is saying the thing is invalidated and, you know, pretending like I didn't just hit these other trades perfectly the entire way up, pretending like I didn't call gold to 3K and 50 to 60 bucks silver and all of this stuff, pretending like in the member section we haven't been hitting multiple hundreds of percents routinely on these crypto related equities, whilst the people are in the comment section trying to say that everything's fallen apart. Again, I'm here to tell you, okay, that the only real difference is this current cycle low is being forced slightly lower down than I thought it would. Again, we know our invalidation. If we don't recover this trend line, if this cycle low rolls over and fails, okay, then we have to start actually taking some off. Then we have to start entertaining something is wrong. But the crypto related equities are speaking here. All the altcoiners are getting, frankly, what they deserve. They're now learning to kneel to the king that is Bitcoin. And just as everyone has doubted this rally the entire way up, okay, up until here where they went max leverage, got wrecked. Now it's time to cause them to watch everyone like the Camel Crew continue to win as this thing enters the fifth of the fifth of the fifth and possibly even left translates. So massive opportunity for everyone involved, okay? If you got wrecked, now's your time to either quit or promise yourself you're going to be a professional about it and manage the risk, learn to respect risk. If you're already in one of those winning trader positions, if you're already one of those people that understands you must always respect risk and always size your trades appropriately, then any day now, I would expect to see us hitting some big trades in the member section again, us adding some more positions for the likes of Bitcoin and probably the crypto related equities. Probably going to play one or two altcoins as well, because if we really are going to go berserk mode, then selectively a few of them will probably do quite well. And then when this thing is all said and done, okay, it's going to be standard market stuff. 10% of people will have made 90% of the money, and 90% of people will have exceeded their 3-year trading career expectancy, blown up their accounts, gotten divorced, and beyond to whatever the next project is. So I'm your boy Camel. I hope you found value here today. And until next time, I wish you all the best. Take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.